Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to do another Glitter-Sanity pour, and like the last, this is basically just a collection, an enormous amount of collection of glitters that I don't really use too often and that I feel like would really make a nice full-on glitter focused resin pour. So of course I am starting out by emptying out my cups here, and I first started out with multiple and then I decided to mix them. So I had my reds and my greens and all that separated, but I decided to mix the reds with the blacks since there were very few, the greens with the golds, and then the purples with the blues, and those gave some really nice mixes. And there's a lot of glitter this time, so I'm gonna make some larger pours. The resin I'm going to use here is a thicker one. I'm using like a 1:1 one that will hopefully hold the glitter like floating a little bit more, not make it sink too much, but we shall see. Usually it does pretty well, some chunky glitter though, and especially if we have this enormous amount of glitter, may not work, but we shall test it. So my first pour is going to be one of the little heart containers, like the gaming heart containers. All of the modes, by the way, are from Sophie and Toffee. And this one I thought the red would really fit well too, but also the black, to give it a little bit of like a breakup with like some just essentially matte black like mica powder. So I'm going to alternate like both pours, going with the red first, then the black, and so on and so forth. Also, I heavily underestimated how much thicker glitter makes the resin again. I think this happened last time too, but I needed like way more resin to actually make it flow well. I'm also completely accepting that there will be air pockets because there's so much glitter, but I'm still trying to keep them to a minimum, so I'm pouring from very high up to have a smaller stream of resin, so that there's not too many large air bubbles that can be trapped in the resin. The next thing I wanted to make was a skull, so I mixed up my purples, and I also mixed a batch of black and blue mica powder to make like a almost color shift-esque situation, and some lighter blues. And because I needed to thin down the purples a bit, I also mixed up a little bit of like white glitter that I have a real metric ton of, just to like make it even a little bit more sparkly. And I decided to put the rest of my resin into the green already, to hopefully make the bubbles disappear a bit more. And then again I'm just alternating the light blue, the dark blue, black, and the purple. And I'm pouring in from like the nose side to hopefully get a little bit of variation in between these, because this is a very large mold, so getting like a nice swirl of colors is always not the easiest. And of course I was completely short of resin, and since I already put the leftover resin into my green, I had to mix up some new stuff, but I really tried to like scrape out all my forms, and I just basically mixed up some glittery clear resin and then just colored it in the same way that I did the blackish color. The glitter mainly was actually just leftovers in like another cup, so yeah, no, glitter is here to stay anyways for the Glitter-Sanity pour, so I wasn't really mad at that. And the mica powder actually covers the glitter pretty well, like you can hardly tell that there's any glitter in the blackish blue part. And then I just fill this up and use my mixing knife here to like swirl it around a tiny bit. And it was finally time for the last pour. So of course the green has been mixed, but it settled a bit, so I had to remix it again a little, and I actually needed to thin it, so I just mixed it with a little bit of my pre-mixed purple black resin. And again I'm just dribbling it in layers. Now I noticed that the green was a bit more like opaque glitter wise, and I think that's because there was a lot more finer glitter in it, also with the gold. And you can actually see it in the cup, how like it runs down the sides. Like the other glitters, especially the red, were like a little bit looser, so it wasn't like a bit less opaque, but yeah, the green was very vibrant. And then after a day of curing, it was time to mold. As always, I'm molding these while they're still slightly soft so that I can easily trim off any excess flashing and make sure that everything is straight. Especially for lids and stuff, they can actually curl a little bit by curing, so I like to just flatten them nicely on the table when I have poured and molded them. So here we have the heart container, and that one came out of the mold pretty easily. The skull was another matter. This is such a chunky mold and it nearly broke my fingers. I had to like roll the mold over the round part, and it looks easy in the video here, but yeah, no, it wasn't. Of course I had some leftovers again that I poured in random molds. Again, I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I guess I'm gonna figure that out in the future. And then it was time to mold the dice mold, and this one was way more struggling than it usually is anyways, because I already noticed the last few times that like all the edges are really badly cracking, so the resin really gets caught in there, and it also leaves some uneven edges in the mold. So I think this mold is finally done. I could probably get one more pour up, but I'm afraid that if I demold this, then the entire mold will likely rip and like chunks of silicone may get stuck in my piece. And since I want to avoid that, and I got a lot of different pieces out of this one, it's just going to get into the like pile of used up molds. But yeah, overall I'm super happy with all the pours. I think they look absolutely magnificent, and I'm also really happy with the color combinations. I was quite worried that they would give too much like Christmassy vibes, since we have like a green and a red and stuff, but I think with all the fun colors in there it gives more like a almost disco vibe, I would say, especially the red heart here. And I absolutely love that there's still like a nice hint of black there. I would have preferred a little bit more, but considering I also mixed less black than red, it makes sense. Plus I really wanted to use up all of my glitter nicely, so you know, this was mainly glitter focused anyways. So it's not quite my preferred combination, but I still think it looks absolutely stunning and fun. And I hope that somebody else is going to love it a great lot. I don't know if I will add any sticker or any decoration on top of the lid. Maybe I'm going to add a little bit of vinyl to like break it up, maybe some black vinyl with something fun, like some decoration or so, but that's going to be for the future if I have any ideas. For now I'm gonna leave it as is and just tuck it away safely. Now the next one of course was the skull, and that one gave me a little bit more trouble with the blue that I had to remix because I had too little, so there's one side that is a bit more blue heavy, but the rest, like especially the back of the head and a little bit in the front, have some nice stripes of glitter. The glitter did sink a bit more to the bottom, but again, like glitter makes resin sink more, or sinks more in resin, so it was understandable, especially with this large volume and with me having to add more of the blue. It's basically glitter has the same effect in resin as some pigments do. Like if you've ever used like white pigments, like alcohol pigments, Morandi pigments, things like that, they do tend to be way heavier than most other pigments, so they tend to sink. That's also how people get this like petri dish like style effect, because it like drags everything else to the bottom with the white, and the glitter just really does the same in the resin. I hope for a bit more suspension, but also this is a very large mold, so getting a heavier glitter to like float evenly in a layer was quite a challenging thing from the beginning, and I still really love how many like layers and swirls the glitter achieved. I think if it would have split in the middle I would have been really sad, but considering there's some really fun like zebra-esque strikes going on all around, I'm actually quite in love with this. Now, the green definitely had overtaken everything. So I was right, the finer, like, green glitter, like, particles definitely just were way too much, and they just overtook anything, any and all of the purplish black. But I still think there's enough to have like a fun little effect, and definitely from the outside, like when you close the lid, it has a bit more purple, so it looks really nice, and the inside is just this like really fun, almost metallic-esque green. I think that's mainly because there was also a lot of bronze and golds and stuff in there, and it just makes for a very fun vibe. And I don't really think that's very Christmassy. I think it's more like, I don't know, poison apple vibe-esque or something. So I'm very curious what people, like what character people will choose for this, if you would use this for your dice for like a D&D match. And of course with this one I'm also going to add like a little bit of decoration on top of the lid, and I'm going to do a clear pour in the future. Again, I don't have time for that now, but it's going to essentially look like the other dice molds I made. And I'm really happy that the final like pour I got out of the mold actually turned out really nicely. There is definitely some unevenness. Luckily the glitter is so busy that you cannot see them, but I had to like go in there and like sand away, carefully carve away some like raised spots that were very, very noticeable. But yeah, overall super fun, and I think all of the pieces again look so stunning. I just have to live with finding glitter everywhere in my house for the next like bajillion years, I swear. It has been a couple months since I did this pour, and I still find so many pieces of glitter randomly. Like, you know, when you look in the mirror and you randomly find some pieces of glitter on your face and stuff. And I haven't used any glitter since then, so it's definitely still from this pour. But yeah, again, I had a lot of fun, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below which character would you choose for this box, if you would put it for a D&D character. And of course, as always, I hope you have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye!